everybody, and welcome back to the 111th episode of the Triboro Podcast. I'm your host, Justin Alonso, joined by Nicholas O'Brien. It has been a long time since you've seen us, and it's been a long time since you've heard how Nicholas O'Brien is doing. How are you doing, Nicholas O'Brien?
I'm doing better.
Better, yes.
Better. Good weekend. It's been a while, and in those 2 weeks, everything got worse. But as of right now, I'm doing better.
I really appreciate that the one series the Mets decided to win was against the Mariners.
Yes.
I am
You're
thankful
welcome.
for that. I am very grateful.
I too.
Would have really appreciated if you guys didn't do what you did in game one, but
I as well. I think we agree on all accounts.
we agree on all accounts. We were both big Mets fans over the weekend.
Yes.
But
yes.
the unethical home run you gave up to Cal Riley, I am not a fan of.
Such bullshit. And
So
anyone complaining
unethical.
about Reed Garrett, fuck off. It wasn't even classified as a hard hit ball. It was below 95. It was below a 95 miles an hour exit velocity, and it traveled like 320 feet.
And it's also a thing of, too, MLB has had a history, not confirmed, but pretty obvious, that they juice balls in nationally televised games.
Yeah.
So, most
That as well.
unethical home run hitter of all time. So
Honestly.
annoying, but...
Honestly.
Do you have anything else?
No, I think we have enough to talk about in, the Bronx and Queens, so
I will say,
I wait.
I love all this stuff with the Little League Classic. Just because not everyone's gonna hear or
Yes.
whatever. How that one person almost killed Julio Rodriguez.
Yes.
Ben Verlander almost ate shit, so we were very close, but unfortunately didn't get all of it.
Same. But yeah, I think Little League Classic is probably one of the best events that they do year in, year out, and
Yeah.
I think I didn't realize they've been doing it for 8 years now. This was the 8th year, I believe, and just phenomenal job of Major League Baseball. We don't say that a lot around here, but just phenomenal with everything that goes on for that event. All, the marketing and the kids and all, like, the little, even on the ESPN, as bad as the broadcast is, like, the little snippets of, like, oh, here's this guy in Little League, and this is what they did, and here's a kid asking a question. I think phenomenal.
I will say there's two things I have. One, did you see the story of Jazz and the kid from last year?
I did not.
So
Unless I
Jazz,
forget.
when Yankees played at the Little League World Series, Jazz became close with the kid, and they're still talking to this day.
That's sick.
And kind of like in a
That's so
mentorship
cool.
role.
That's so cool.
Yeah, there was an article that came out about. I didn't read it, but I saw kind of like the snippet of it that he's still talking to the kid today.
That's cool.
And
I love that.
what was it? A little weird, the teams, but that's kind of like a small thing.
Yeah.
Because it was Yankees
whatever.
Tigers when the Yankees did
Right.
it. Or
At
it's
least, AL, sure.
yeah,
But in
East Coast versus
Yeah.
West Coast team in two different leagues that have
right.
no history except for
At
the
all.
Edwin Diaz trade. And even then, that
Yeah,
was
exactly.
and that's such a stretch too to even say.
Yeah. That's just
But-
trying to find
Yeah,
some common ground.
Jared Kelenic. But
That guy.
anyways,
Anywho.
into the Bronx.
Now entering the Bronx.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back into the Bronx. So, like the Mets, if we had recorded last week, we would have been on Suicide Watch.
Mhm.
This week, we won 5 out of 6 games, so we are not on Suicide Watch. Because that is
Funny how that works.
baseball. But before anything, of course, your injury update brought to you by the Triboro MD. I'm going to kind of go through the smaller ones, then get into the bigger ones. Jonathan Loizaga, in play to return before September 1st. What does
So
that
he's
mean?
Not returning before September 1st.
The way, there's so many injuries that, because I was just looking at it, and they were like, could potentially do this approximately at this date. Got it.
Okay.
So we have no
Sure.
clue.
Yeah, exactly.
Austin Slater, he first start as a Yankee, maybe the second start.
Okay.
He ran. I know, right? Like it felt like it happened
Forgot
so
about
long
that.
ago.
Yeah.
He was run down the line in Texas, pulled his hammy, got put on the IL. No timetable. He was the corresponding move when Judge did get activated. Then Ryan Yarbrough threw 37 pitches on August 14th. He will be built up to around 50 pitches before potentially being activated. Interesting. Really,
Not sure where he fits.
yeah. I think it's just a 1-for-1 with Brett Hedrick,
Probably.
which
It
kind
makes
of
the
don't
most
like,
sense.
but it makes the most sense.
Yeah. Unless you want to get rid of
Tim
Scary
Hill.
Yeri. I was gonna say De Los Santos. But
No, no, don't.
he's been that's what I'm saying. He's been fine.
I'm gonna get into Yeri, but don't you dare disrespect the GOAT. Fernando Cruz will pitch in a minor league game on the 19th, and if he is ready, he will be activated. The player will 100% say he is ready. It will just be up to the Yankees to determine if he is actually ready or not. Amed Rosario is confident he will miss the minimum amount of time, and also Boone was like pretty adamant the same thing. If he does miss the minimum, would get activated tomorrow on Tuesday. And my bet is Escara gets sent down, especially just with how much Ben Rice has been catching. And I think Escara's caught, I think, like 1 game since being called back up. And even then, I don't know. But last one, in the big one, Giancarlo Stanton did not recover well from playing the outfield for 3 straight games because he played in all 3
Shocker.
games against Twins. Boone said one of the main reasons that he didn't play in this series was because they didn't want him in the expansive outfield for Busch Stadium. Which, okay.
I guess that's fair. It is a pretty big stadium. Outfield.
So, I get that. He also did pinch hit once, maybe. I think it was just the one time. So, he did play this series, just wasn't on outfield. And at the same time, yeah, it sucks. Kind of got to force him to do it until Judge is ready to play, though. So, it's like...
You kind of don't really have a
choice.
A choice in the matter. Yeah.
Even then, it does seem like Judge is really close to coming back to the field. So we'll see kind of how that works out. But that was the injury update brought to you by the Triboro MD. Then a very quick recap for those that don't know. Last 2 weeks, the Yankees lost series in Texas, lost series at home against the Astros, won a series against the Twins. They dropped the last game, swept the Cardinals, and they went 7-6 in the last 2 weeks.
Sounds a lot better than what it felt like.
Yes, a lot better than what it felt like. So, I don't even know where to start with this. I'm just going to go over kind of like positionally how everyone did over the last 2 weeks. So, just if there's someone that comes up that I skim over, just stop me and do it.
Yeah.
Overall for the bats, Stan, been phenomenal. Do you know what his WRC plus is these last 2 weeks?
225. 300.
No, 273. He has just
Close.
been on a tear last couple days. That's why it's also a thing of like your legs may be a little sore, but go and get
in there.
Go and get. And
get,
there
buddy.
is a really interesting thing because they were talking about this on the broadcast that Stan in his career been a god awful pinch hitter, one of the worst pinch hitters you'll ever see. But this year he's been very, very good. And they asked him about it, and he said, like, yeah, like when I would pinch hit the other days, it would be days that I wouldn't start when I typically would start every day. So he would say that there was 14 games, he would start 13, pinch hit in the 14th one, but he said he would almost mentally not prepare the same way in that last game. Yeah, he kind of checked out because he's not starting when he started the other 13 games. And he said, but like now, even if he doesn't start, he does the same exact preparation, stays mentally locked in, been a lot better. And I feel like you see that with some guys that when everyday players are not good pinch hitters, but then when they kind of, I don't want to say lose playing time, but don't play as much regularly, they do become better pinch hitters, especially these veteran guys. So if you could have Stan as a viable pinch hit option, holy shit. But
that changes a lot, especially once Judge gets back in the outfield. There's a lot of a lot of roster flexibility that you have, especially when, a lot of your trade deadline guys come back.
Yeah. Speaking of trade deadline, guys, perfect transition. Jose Caballero is awesome. He has a 150 WRC plus in those 2 weeks. He just has hit. He's made take out that one play in Miami. He's been awesome in the field. I can't say more about him. He is the perfect type of guy that if he is on your team, you love him. If he is not on your team, you want to shoot him. So
he's
perfect,
pesky,
whatever you want to call. My girlfriend also loved that he had a Stitch bat for Players Weekend. So she's like, "Oh my God, Stitch bat, Stitch bat!" But anyways, then probably the biggest storyline of the last 2 weeks was Ben Rice, 141 WRC plus over the last 2 weeks. He has played 11 out of 13 of the games. He is caught in 6 of them.
Big.
The reason he is caught in 6 of them is because Austin Wells has a -9 WRC plus in those 2 weeks. I don't know if it's still accurate, but I'm assuming it still is accurate because he hasn't hit better. But as of about a week ago, Austin Wells had the lowest batting average against sliders and sweepers.
Not good.
Not combined. No, individually, he has the worst batting average against sliders, comma. Individually, he has the worst batting average against sweepers.
Yeah.
So, again, say what you want about batting average, but it gets to be a point where, like, you gotta hit the damn ball. You gotta make contact with the damn ball. And he hasn't done that. He's still been good defensively. I don't know what it is with him. I'll be completely honest. Like, I think that there may be an outside, and I would not do this. Let me say I would not do this. There may be an outside chance that they send him down instead of Vizcarra just to let him reset, work on things. Again, I wouldn't do it. I think he just brings so much value defensively behind the dish, but
it's not out of the question. And honestly, I don't think it's a terrible idea. I mean, look what the Mets did with Francisco Alvarez.
Yeah.
And look how he's looked since coming back.
And I will say, to the Mets' point too, they didn't have a Ben Rice that could play a catcher either.
Right. They did not have a good
catcher.
option at catcher afterwards. So in the sense, it makes more sense for the Yankees to do this. But honestly, I do think it's just a little too late. It's now the second to last week in August. Like, you got 5-6 weeks of baseball left. You can't do it right now.
And well, if you're gonna do it, you have to do it right now because there's only 2 weeks left in the minor league season.
That's true. I forgot. I even forgot about that. Well,
that's more what I mean. That, like, either you send him down right this second, or you just can't do anything.
You can't. Physically can't.
You physically can't unless you want him playing playoff games for the AAA Scranton Wilkes-Barre Rail Riders.
Exactly.
But
it just might just be a lost season for Austin Wells, and it's a shame because we both were so high on him coming into the season. But it happens. He's barely 26. He's going to turn 26 soon, but it happens. It's disappointing for sure, but he has still shown you the potential.
And I do worry about Austin Wells' long-term outlook, especially if ABS does get implemented. Just because the reason why we love Austin Wells is because he's one of the best framers of baseball. You add ABS, it's taking away a lot of his value. So, but that's down the road. We'll see how that works. But just something I wanted to note here. Aaron Judge has started to turn around again. 139 WRC plus. Feels like he's been a lot worse because he's just that good. He's walking more than he's striking out. I'm fine. He's just getting his timing back. Cool.
He didn't have a rehab, right?
No.
Yeah. So.
Still 40% better than the league average. Right.
Whatever. Oh no, he's all-star caliber instead of best right-handed hitter on planet Earth
of all time. Whatever. Paul Goldschmidt started to turn the corner. 125 WRC plus in the last 2 weeks. Had a really good game in St. Louis, that last game of the series. He was dealing with a little bit of a knee thing. I forget what game it was. I want to say it was the last game against Twins. He hit a double. Kind of, you could tell while rounding first, kind of not landed, but like kind of like stepped in his knee, felt a little weird,
Yeah.
kind of like limped a little bit to second base. He was a defensive replacement game Monday, or the game on Friday, then started the game on Sunday, so he looks to be fine. Really good that he started to turn the corner because I believe a lot of those hits were against righties as well. So, as to be seen, Jazz kind of broke out of his funk, 121 in the last 2 weeks. Trent Grisham, 120 in the last 2 weeks. He doesn't get enough credit, kind of just for what he's done. That being said, I still don't think he should be the center fielder, but gotta love him. Cody Bellinger, who should be the center fielder. This is where it starts to get bad. There's a severe drop off now. 51 WRC plus last 2 weeks, but a 118 BABIP. So
some bad luck.
He's been great all year. He still gives you so much damn value defensively that
Sure.
I'm not gonna like get on him. Now, Anthony Volpe, the perfectly balanced as all things should be, also
Sucks again.
has a 51 WRC plus, but he has turned back into the stud defender we all know.
Okay.
I
don't understand.
I will say
Anthony Volpe.
188 BABIP last 2 weeks, and he is a guy that, for better or for worse, his numbers do correlate heavily to his BABIP.
Right.
So,
sure. I mean, just as long as he times the cold and hot streaks. Like, if you want to be cold now, you better be hot like mid-September.
yeah. I mean, he was one of the best hitters in the playoffs last year for the Yankees. So I don't know what it is. One of the things too, I'm really curious to see how they play Caballero, just because he did start at shortstop in the game on Sunday. So that's one of the things that I said when they traded for him, that I wanted a backup shortstop that could spell Volpe. Call it, if they play 6 games, one of those games, maybe 2 of those games, if it's a 7-game stretch. So,
and I also think that as much as, Volpe is your future, he has done nothing to warrant a leash, in my opinion.
Mhm.
If Caballero is hitting, he should be playing shortstop.
Yeah. Now, if Volpe was all year was the defensive beast that we saw the last 2 years, that's a different story.
Yeah,
But he just hasn't been.
Yeah, exactly.
So.
So just you can't, like, again, he hasn't really given you anything to earn, essentially, like a starting position day in, day out.
Yeah. And then the other guy that is so frustrating, Jason Dominguez, has a 15 WRC plus last 2 weeks. I will
Reminder,
say
100 is average.
I will say he did have 2 multi-hit games in St. Louis, so maybe starting to break out of it. But the fact that Anthony Volpe has double the amount of home runs as Jason Dominguez this year is ridiculous.
Yeah.
That's the part that I'm like the most shocked about, is just there's no power. Like that, I thought that if anything, he would be the type of guy that I feel like they should be swapped. The type of guys they are. You know what I mean? Volpe and Dominguez, where Dominguez may just not get on a lot, may not hit a lot, but he's gonna have a lot of pop. And I just don't know where it is. He had that 1 3-home run game in Sacramento, and I can't remember the last time he's hit a home run. Like, honestly, I'm trying to remember and I can't. So
yeah, it's been a perplexing season for Dominguez. It's kind of maybe even more to an extreme than Volpe. It seems like he gets hot for like a week and then ice cold for 2.
I will say there could be something of just he's not playing every day, just because there is such a rotation. But at the same time, I almost don't care. Not almost don't care, but I'm fine with not playing Dominguez every day this year, as long as you plan to play him every day in the future.
Yeah, I think
just
that's fair.
The way Trent Grisham has been playing, he's been awesome, and that's not even talking about how bad he's been in the field. Dominguez, he's been been your worst offender all year. So if you want to do it, almost a thing of he's not going to play every day, but he's still going to learn from guy. He's still going to develop. He's going to work on his fielding, going to work on his hitting. I'm fine with that. Because how much better would you feel about Dominguez if going into next year, if he just said he's going to take these last couple months, obviously he's going to play, in the offseason to only be a lefty, not be a switch hitter anymore, and work heavily on his defense.
Yeah.
I think
Yeah,
there'd be
no,
different
I
vibes
think
around him.
for
So
sure. I do think I'm not willing to give up the switch hitting just
I'm not
yet,
either, but just more so in the
but
sense of he's focusing on just being a lefty because he's trying to
right.
like become much better, if that makes sense. Like kind of like
Yeah.
I'm explaining it really bad, but how instead of focusing on being okay at a bunch of different things, focusing on being damn good at a
Right.
smaller amount of things. I explained that
Yeah.
horribly, but I think
I
people
get it.
know what I mean. Yeah.
Yeah. Full ass one thing instead of half assing two.
Yeah.
There you go.
But yeah, that's how the bats have played. Overall, they've great. That's not been the issue the last call it week. So you had the one game where you got shut down. I think it was against Joe Ryan, whatever Joe Ryan, getaway game. But the up and down is the starters. I'm gonna start with Will Warren. 16.1 innings pitched, 1.65 ERA. Good, solid. He looked very. My only issue, he looked very fatigued in that game on Sunday. I do know, I forget who was on the Cardinals, but he cramped I think twice in one at bat.
Huh.
So I think there may be some of that. It was just very hot that game and very
Yeah.
humid, and say what you want about that. So I'm not gonna
Bananas.
give him. I'm not gonna like say, oh, I'll give him a pass, whatever. But I'm not gonna look too deep into it. Still pitch solid. Luis Heel in the 14 innings since come back, he has a 5.14 ERA, but he has a 3.76 FIP, 3.68 BABIP. So a lot of balls just getting down. I think he's looked solid since
I
coming
think
back.
it's fun. I mean, it's just like that. Really,
Miami
it's
start.
that one blow up, man.
Yeah.
Besides that, he's been fine.
Yeah, and obviously he's one of those guys. Just let him build up. It'll be fine. It'll come. Carlos Rodon, 12 innings, 2.25 ERA. I will say he has been a little finicky. The underlying numbers don't love him as much. Cam Schlittler, 10 innings, 2.7 ERA. Great. Perfect. Keep doing you. Keep throwing. I think I saw his fastball is like 98.6 average. Keep doing that. Love it. I love that he truly is like an off-speed pitch away from being like a decent two-starter.
So let me.
You're gonna, yeah. Well,
I'm looking at his pitch stuff. Yeah, I mean, it's just a lot of. It's the issue that you see with a lot of young starters. I feel like he just doesn't have an out pitch against lefties. Maybe the curveball, but like, and the cutter. But the cutter is more of a strike pitch. You're not throwing a sweeper into a lefty. You're gonna have to try to beat it with the fastball. And if you look at his lefty splits, he throws his four seam 62% of the time, and his
yeah.
curveball 21% of the time. That's nearly 85% of his pitches are just two pitches. Because again, the sweeper you cannot throw to lefties. That's just not a good pitch. And the sinker too is also not a good pitch. He's only thrown it 4 times. So he's really a 3-pitch pitcher against lefties, and even then he's kind of a 2-pitch pitcher, which is just fastball, curveball. So I do think he needs, like you said, off speed.
Maybe like a change up.
A splitter, something like that. Just, the whole kick change thing. The fact that he looks like he spins the ball pretty well seems like he's probably not going to be a good changeup guy. So maybe a splitter might be more in line for him, or the kick change. He has a very similar profile to Clay Holmes, if we're being honest. I mean, cutter, fastball, sinker, sweeper, curve. And, Clay Holmes also he can't really throw a changeup, so that's where you get the kick change in. So if that's something I probably want him to look at in the offseason, because it's just not really viable. I mean, lefties are hitting. Yeah, well, you can't see that from here, but I'm gonna get that in a second.
Yeah, well, you do that.
I find that. Go ahead.
If he does want to learn, call it change up, kick change, splitter, whatever you want to call it, he has a lot of guys on this team to learn from. You have some of the best splitters in baseball, and Fernando Cruz and Mark Leiter. Mark Leiter is obviously not as good, but Fernando Cruz probably has the best splitter in baseball, one of the just best pitches number-wise in all of baseball. Great guy to learn from. say what you want about how Devin Williams has been. His changeup is still disgusting as ever. It's more a thing of a bunch of other reasons why he's not performing. But there are guys that you can learn from. I want him locked in a room with Garrett Cole this entire offseason.
Mhm.
Speaking of Garrett Cole, I never mentioned he started throwing off flat ground. No, he is not coming back this year. It is the natural part of the rehab. Go on.
Funny enough, Cam Schlittler does have reverse splits, so righties are hitting him better, which is kind of funny. But lefties aren't getting nothing out of it. They have a hot. It's just the slugging.
I was gonna say,
Righty,
I feel like the slugging is the issue.
yeah, righties are just slugging him more, but lefties are higher batting average, higher on base. But
do you
yeah,
think it's a thing of his fastball is just his best pitch, and because he's throwing his best pitch so much against lefties, that's why it's producing better results?
probably. It's probably also just a what's the word?
Small sample size?
I don't know.
Or
Yeah, kind of. I guess like it is, but it isn't. But
it's not
yeah, I
sustainable.
mean,
I think that's kind of like the best way to put it, but
yeah, his fastball is just getting hit by righties. That's kind of really it. Can't really dig too deep into it live, obviously.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's probably something I'll look into more. But yeah, his fastball is just getting absolutely crushed against righties.
Now, I'm gonna ask you this question: when Max Fried had a blister, they had 5 days for the All-Star break, and then they gave him another 5 days after. So he was like the fifth man starting after the All-Star break. Should they have just put him on the IL?
No, I feel like it doesn't really make a difference. Another 5 days?
My only thing is Max Fried has gone on the IL in the past because of blisters, and I think it's kind of one of those things of his spin rates have come down. His pitch mix has not changed significantly, but it's been like a little bit weirder. He let up 9 runs last 15 innings. He has a 9 ERA. Misread that. Sorry. You can say there may be a little bit of unluckiness, a 4.29 BABIP, 59.7 left on base, but it really just doesn't feel like it's a thing of he's just not as sharp. And I think a lot of it has to do with the blister. Just because ever since he started getting that blister, you could tell he's just not been able to locate as well he has. And it's a thing, I don't know if I said it on here or like I said to someone else, but like I wouldn't have hated if they just put him on the IL just because it would only be, like you said, another 5-6 days. And with something like a blister, it sounds dumb, but that could be a very big issue for a pitcher. And it's one of those things of if you don't let it fully heal, it will not stop coming back, and it will not stop being an issue. So yeah, maybe only be an extra 5-6 days, whatever it is, but that could be the difference between letting it go away completely and letting it be a lingering issue for the year.
Yeah, I guess that's fair because, also given with the blister, Max Fried is a guy that obviously relies on spin. And when you have the blisters on your fingers, you can't get the right pressure on the ball for it to spin how you want it. So when you put it like that, I guess that is fair. But I don't know. I think it's just one of those things where you just kind of need to just fight through it at this point.
At this point, yeah.
Yeah, at this point, you can't really, go back on it. And at the end of the day, he just needs to be better. Like as much as, yes, he probably is ailing a little bit, he needs to be better.
Yeah. I just thought it was the perfect opportunity to do it then, because at the end of the day, he's missing, one start?
Right.
And then he has someone else come up for a spot start, so it's like, would have been the perfect spot to do it, but because I forget.
I guess. I'm just not sure how much, and I mean, it could be, the difference between how he is now and how he was in the first half, but just an extra 5 days, I'm not sure.
Yeah, but it's also one of those things
really
of, say that the blister was 90% healed going
Yeah.
into that start, those extra 5 days would have made sure it gone away completely.
Right. Again, that's fair, but what if it's not the blister? What if he's simply just
fatigued or
pitching poorly?
Yeah. Again, that could very much be it. It's just,
Yeah.
from what I've seen, ever since his blister's been an issue, his control has just not been there.
Yeah, for sure.
And he's just been missing too many pitches. There's not control in the sense of he's walking guys, more so control of Max Fried. He got his money off of being just like a pinpoint, just absolutely dotting, perfect pitching type guy. He hasn't
He's
been
missing
perfect.
spots.
He's missing spots. Perfect way to put it.
Yep.
And I don't. He just has to play better. Like that. Like you said. Like at this point, he just has to pitch through it. And it's also at this point, who is your in a potential playoff series? Who's your game one starter?
Rodon. It's definitely not Schlittler or Warren.
That's the point, though. It's like
Yeah.
so.
You got 6 weeks to figure it out. You also have
Yeah.
6 weeks to continue to fight for it. Let's not get ahead of ourselves.
That's why I said potential. I said potential.
Right. Fair enough.
Play the clip back. I said potential.
Potential man.
No, yeah, but that's the rotation. They've been solid. They haven't been bad. They've been solid. I would have loved to see like a little bit more length from certain guys, especially Will Warren in that game against the Cardinals. Max Fried just has to be better. Cam Schlittler, I love to see if we could start getting him to pitch into the 6th inning, get a couple outs there, just kind of like really build up on that. But the bullpen overall. I'll start with the good. David Bednar is awesome. 6 2/3 innings, 3 saves, no runs allowed. And you may say like, no runs allowed, 2-run sample size, whatever. Yeah. 0.87 FIP, 132 expected FIP, 16.2 strikeouts per 9. So
big.
He also threw, I think, like
my closer.
He threw, I think, 50 pitches on the game against the Rangers.
Holy crap!
I think it was like 45 was like the final number. Like, but yeah.
Dog.
So he just dropped his nuts on the table. Luke Weaver.
That X-Dog went up.
Yeah, seriously. Luke Weaver, 8.1 innings pitched, no earned runs. Yerry De Los Santos, 5 1/3 innings pitched, 5.06 ERA over these last 2 weeks. That being said, most of those runs came in one start or one appearance. He has 57.1% left on base, 333 BABIP. So, looks like
good stuff.
So, I still love Yerry. I think he is a guy that when he came back up, he pitched awesome. Even when he got sent down, he was pitching really well. Love to see more from him. Brent Hedrick is a guy that 5 2/3 innings pitched, 1.59 ERA, 12.71 strikeout per 9. That's the only reason where it's like, okay, do they send him down? Because he's striking that many guys out, but he has been kind of on like the Scranton shuttle, where he's just like going up, down, up, down, up, down. So
he's the odd man out, really.
Yeah.
At this point, it's not really much to do with performance, rather just like, hey, you're the one that can go.
Yeah. And Tim Hill, which he has a 7.36 ERA last 2 weeks. The most shocking part about this to me is that he only had 3 2/3 innings.
Oof.
That's the thing where it's just like, really? I felt like he was, because there was a point where before this, he led American League relievers in appearances.
Right.
So it could be a thing of they just used him too much, and now they're kind of like pulling back a little bit on that just to give him a little bit more rest. But even then, he's not a guy that needs a lot of rest because he throws 20 miles an hour.
Right. Exactly. Rubber arm.
Yeah. Then Mark Leiter, 4 1/3, 208 ERA. Look good since coming off the IL. Great.
My goat.
Then the two that everyone wants to point at. Which one should I start with?
The one that's been here.
Devin Williams. There was a stretch where he blew 3 straight games for the Yankees, where you just know him coming in, especially that game in Texas. I believe it was game 2, where they could have put Mark Leiter in, but they just didn't. And I get the reasoning of they didn't want to put Leiter in because it would have been his first appearance back. But at the same time, like, you have other bodies in the bullpen other than Devin Williams. And Devin Williams hung a changeup to one of the worst hitters in baseball at the time in Jock Peterson. So that was horrible. 6 innings, 7.5 ERA. he does look better in the low leverage innings that he's been in. It's a thing of with everyone you have, Devin Williams should not be pitching later than the 7th inning.
Yeah.
In the 7th inning is only in emergency cases, to me, because Luke Weaver and David Bednar, they should be your penciled in 8th, 9th inning guys. The thing about those two guys too is if one of them's not available, both those guys can give you 2 innings.
Right.
They've shown that both those guys can give you 2 innings. So if you desperately need it because only one's available, I would much rather them pitch 3 innings than see Devin Williams in a high leverage spot at this point. The other guy that I don't want to see in high leverage until he figures it out is Camilo Doval. 6 2/3 innings, 5.4 ERA. He's blown multiple games since coming over. The notable one in Miami, the game where, I forget, I want to say it was the game on Sunday, where he let up a home run to give the Cardinals lead. Yankees ended up coming back, so no one's really going to remember that game. Or no one's going to remember him giving up the home run. But he still let up the lead. And I believe it was the 7th inning in a tied game. I don't... Well, I know what you do, but what do you think they do?
Just ease him in. I don't think they sent him down. He does have the options, but
2.
Yeah. He's a guy that, look, he has walked too many batters his entire career. That's just like the ebbs and flows of Camilo Doval. But, he was a big get for the Yankees. Even besides the fact of how bad he's been the past 2 weeks, you just need to ease him back into high leverage. I think just, low leverage, either when you're down or you're up with a decent margin of error. I think it's kind of just what you do. But, he's been... The issue is just the walks for the most part. Like, with the Yankees, he has a 70% ground ball rate, but he's also 50% of his fly balls turn into home runs, which will just not last. That's the least of his problems. But, then you look at the BABIP and the left on base, like, he'll be fine, but I think you just need to ease him back in to high leverage.
Even then, like, 7th inning, tied game, I wouldn't call that high leverage necessarily.
I would.
I'd say that's like medium plus.
Yeah, but I think you just gotta, again, just ease it in. But it's not easy to do when you also need to ease in Devin Williams.
So, yeah. That's kind of where we're at. Fernando Cruz. Because even then, Fernando Cruz is going to come back and you're going to need to ease in Fernando Cruz.
Right. Maybe. Perhaps. Unless he comes back and
he's going to get thrown into the fire. He's just most straight likely. Up going to get thrown into the fire. Honestly, yes. I'm not opposed to it. But that was that. The bullpen was the issue over these last 2 weeks. Like, by far, just was the issue. There would be some games where the bats wouldn't be there. But that's going to happen. Guys are just going to have their stuff those certain days, whatever. But then looking ahead. So I mapped out the Yankees' entire schedule. For whatever reason, they're off today and then play 2 in Tampa. Don't know why. Who knows?
Wake up.
No. Scheduled Tuesday, Wednesday games. I know the Red Sox, they just did something similar too, or they're about to play 2 against the Orioles.
Sure.
Yeah. But whatever. Then you got 4 against the Red Sox, probably the biggest series out of everything here. 3 against the Nationals, 4 in Chicago against the White Sox, 3 in Houston, 3 against the Blue Jays at home, 3 against the Tigers at home, 3 in Fenway, 3 in Minnesota, 4 in Baltimore, 3 against the White Sox, 3 against Baltimore. There's 22 games against teams under 500, 16 against teams over. And all the teams that you're playing that are over are, I believe all of them are AL. That's not what I was going to say, yeah. All of them are AL, and all of them are very, very important to you. Because depending on what happens with Seattle and the Astros, you already have the tiebreaker against Seattle. So say that, even if it's not even a wild card thing, say somehow the Yankees come back and storm back and win the division. If you win that series in Houston, you may have the tiebreaker. It depends on divisional record, kind of like that thing, which makes even all the other games more important because you have a bunch of games left against your division. So where they sit right now is the Red Sox and Mariners are tied for that first wildcard spot. Yankees are half game back. Then everyone's kind of like trailing behind them. Cleveland's 3.5 games back. Royals are 4 games back. Rangers are 5.5 games back. Tampa 6.5 games back. So really the only team that I would be looking at is Cleveland. And even then, kind of like, but
It's still kind of like just peeking every once in a while in the rearview mirror.
yeah, but the Red Sox haven't played well. They're 4-6 in the last 10. Mariners are 6-4 in the last 10, but I'll say it.
Welcome.
And if this comes back to bite me, sure, I'm just not scared of the Mariners. Like, I'm just not. Yankees are 5-1 against them this year. I never really was sweat. The only reason I'd be scared about the Mariners is because of Brian Wu. That is the only reason why. They shut down Cal Riley when they played him. I'm just not worried about them. The Red Sox, on the other hand, you got 7 games against them. You have to win at least 4 of them. Have to. I believe you have to win all 7 to get the season series. So that's just not going to happen.
Too much.
But you have to win at least 4 out of the 3, if not more. Especially with 4 of them being at home. The ones that you have 7 games against the White Sox. I'm sorry, you got to win at least 6 of those.
Yeah,
like that. Maybe
you're
sound
allowed
like a lot.
one.
You're allowed one
whatever.
butcher, whatever. But then the games against Toronto. Toronto's been like weird recently. They've been hot, but they've also been cold. They've been weird. They've been I don't think you could catch them division. You're 5.5 games back. Toronto does have the tiebreaker. But there is a very big chance that you can get that third wild card spot. Now, where you play that third wild card game, or you play that game, or not third wild card, the top wild card spot, where you play that, that's to be seen. If you have the top one, you're playing that at home against probably the Astros, Mariners, Red Sox, one of those 3 teams, and it's gonna be a tough one. It's gonna be a doozy because everyone's like, oh, you could say this team not good, this team not. No, outside of the Mariners, I'm scared of every team in the playoff picture right now.
I do think you're discrediting the Mariners a little bit too.
I probably am, but
but
if you say it's a 3-game series in the Bronx against the Mariners, I'm not worried.
You're not worried about Logan Gilbert, Bryce Miller, Brian Wu. Not even probably George Kirby starting that. Bryce Miller's coming out of the bullpen.
They've hit all of them except Wu.
I guess.
And even Wu, granted, it took until the 7th inning of that game, or the 8th inning of that game, but they still did hit Wu.
Yes, I don't know. They're tough. They're a good team, especially post deadline. They have like an entirely new offense. But all right.
No, honestly,
to each their own.
It's just one of those things of the Yankees have always played so well against Mariners. Mariners have always played so bad against the Yankees.
Yeah.
That it's just kind of one of those things of there's nothing over the last 10 years that can make me say like, man, I'm scared of the Mariners against the Yankees. So you also have 3 free wins in Minnesota. So
ideally.
Did you see the stat that it was the first time, I believe, since 2022 that the Twins have won a game against the Yankees?
Yeah, it's insane.
Crazy. But especially when you play 6-7 times a year. That's that. You have to go. You're played 22 games against teams under 500, 16 against teams over. You have to, at minimum, go 22-16. In my book,
it's doable. That's not bad.
That's not. And even then, like, the most important games obviously are the 10 games against the Red Sox and the Blue Jays, because I think the games against the Tigers are they're at Yankee Stadium. They're going to be a good litmus test, kind of where the Yankees are, because Tigers, they were bad. They kind of were cooling down. They kind of started to kick it back up. So, and even then, I'm not going to use the series against them in, I think, early April, when it was 30 degrees out and they had to move the games up. I'm not going to use that as a thing like, oh, but very, very interesting schedule. Because it's easy, but it's also tough.
Yeah. The Yankees have the ability to make it easy or tough, I think, is the thing. Like, most of these teams are not going to roll over except for the White Sox and, Twins in Minnesota. But every other team's, like, at least good in some respect. Like, they're not god-awful except for the White Sox and Twins in Minnesota. But, so it's definitely an uphill battle, but the Yankees also have themselves to blame for a lot of the losses. Like, I think you can look back and kind of just be like, a lot of these losses are them shooting themselves in the foot or not playing clean baseball, which they haven't really done all season, for being honest. So, an uphill battle, but maybe like a 45-degree angle instead of 75.
Something too, just to your point, Yankees are 67 and 57. Their expected win-loss, because like run differential, is 72 and 52. So they are expected to have 5 more wins, and on top of that, that would be the second best record in baseball for expected win-loss, only behind the Brewers.
Right, which are just fucking devil magic.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Yeah. To wrap it up, you got 22 under 500, 16 over. You also have 25 games against the AL East. You have not played well against the AL East. Change that. 2/3 of your games are against the AL East to end it. And you got 6 this week. You have to, at minimum, split that game against the Red Sox. And even then, that would still feel like if you only split that.
You're not happy about it, but you're not really upset.
It's just so hard to win a 4-game series.
For sure.
That you have to, at minimum, split that. Yeah. And if you had anything else, or if you did not have anything else, you could send us.
Not really. So, got a lot to talk about in Queens, so let's just get into it.
Now entering Queens.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Queens, where, if you talked to me about 3 days ago, much different mood than I am in now. Because, like Justin said, that is baseball. So we'll talk about that. But first and foremost, your injury report brought to you by Triboro MD. We're going to get the big one out of the way. Francisco Alvarez jammed his right thumb into a base during last night's Little League Classic. He stayed in the game initially to finish out running that inning, but he was replaced by Luis Torrens in the bottom of the inning. Carlos Mendoza mentioned after the game he's flying back to New York to get an MRI, but we don't have any more updates about that as of right now.
The luck that he has with his hands is ridiculous.
Yeah,
I have never seen a guy have, whether it be hands, fingers, get hurt so much on them.
Yeah.
And it's all like the dumbest shit, too.
Yeah, exactly. Like, he tore his ligament last year because he slipped and broke his fall by placing his hand on the ground, and it just popped. And then the hamate injury he had in spring training, and now this. Now, thankfully, again, he stayed in the game initially, which I think is a good sign.
Did he catch?
He did not. So, but still, when he tore his ligament in his thumb, he came out of the game instantly. He stayed in the game, to run, and, he was replaced in the bottom of the inning. Also, it was his right hand. Every other injury has happened to his left hand, his catching hand. So it's his throwing hand that this happened now. So
you kind of need a thumb to throw the ball.
Right. So maybe that's probably why he's not catching, because you can't really throw it
Could
back.
just be swollen.
Right.
It's like he
And
literally just can't grip the baseball.
exactly. Now, for all you watchers, right now, I'm gonna kind of demonstrate.
No,
So when he's sliding
don't
in,
discriminate against the the listeners.
sorry, but you can't see. But when he's sliding in, right, his thumb kind of got stuck here as his hand went forward. So like it kind of just like did one of these.
And even then you're double jointed and you're a freak. So that
Oh
looked
yeah,
normal.
right.
Like, you know what I mean?
So hoping it's nothing serious. I like to think it's nothing serious. Mendoza also did mention that Alvarez was trying to stay in the game afterwards, which, they do. But
Yeah.
the fact that he was still trying to do it makes me believe that it's not bad. At the very least, or at the very most, I hope it's just if he needs to miss time, minimum 10. Because and we'll talk about him, but he's been raging hot.
Ever since Dak Prescott absolutely destroyed his ankle on national television, and he tried smashing it back into place using the turf, banging his ankle against it when he's on the ground, trying to make a bent elbow go like that. I will not take much stock in players trying to go back out to play. He literally
Fair enough.
tried twisting a broken ankle that had torn ligaments. Ever since seeing then, I will not take stock into what players say about them trying to go back into playing until we have MRIs and X-rays.
I guess that's fair.
Again, that is just PTSD.
Yeah. But no, Alvarez has been such a huge part of this team since he's came back, and it would suck for him to miss any time at all. So this is the litmus test on if the vibes are back. Because you took the series from the Mariners, which is pretty big. But this is the test. If he somehow is not going to miss any time, we're back. If he misses a minimum 10 days, neutral. If he's out for an extended period of time, it's over. That's kind of where I'm at. But again, hopefully he just misses no time and we could just look at it and laugh. Ha ha ha. But besides that was Francisco Alvarez. Paul Blackburn was reinstated from the IL, but he was DFA'd for Nolan McLean. So thank you, Paul Blackburn. Sorry. It kind of sucks how everything transpired. But good luck in the future. Kind of where I'm at. So that's your injury report brought to you by Triboro MD. And now we'll talk about just god-awful baseball that the Mets have been playing basically up until the weekend. They did not win a game 2 weeks ago. They got swept by Cleveland at home, swept by Milwaukee in Milwaukee. This week was a little better. They went 3-3, which is, better than 0-6. But, again, you talked to me before the Mariners series. I was out. I was so out. Like, the way they're losing these games is just impressive, honestly. I'm like, if we just go through it, right? The Cleveland game, they lose by 1 run. After making a comeback, right? Second game, they lose 2-3, or 3-2, after scoring two runs in the first 2 innings and then just forgetting how to hit after that. The third game against Guardians, they almost get no hit if it wasn't for Juan Soto in the 9th inning hitting a home run off of Gavin Williams. In Milwaukee, they lose 3-2 after blowing a lead. In Game 2 against Milwaukee, they lose 7-4 after blowing a lead. In Game 3 against Milwaukee, they lose 7-6 after blowing a lead. And then they won the game against Atlanta. Game 2 against Atlanta, they blow a 6-0 lead. They lose 11-6. Game 3, they lose 4-3 after blowing a lead. Seattle, they lose 11-9 after blowing a lead. Do you see a pattern here, Justin?
I am trying to find the stat. Yeah, this is the stat from Anthony DeComo, sorry, that they had a 7 game stretch where they blew 11 leads. A 6-run lead, a 5-run lead, a 4-run lead, 2-run leads, and 1-run leads 6 times.
I was so mad. Just for 2 weeks, I was just angry. Just like seething. Because if they've just been fucking losing games left and right, games that they're winning. They're not getting completely outplayed. It's the small mistakes that they keep making. And then the fucking Ryan Helsley, on top of that, who's been awful for the Mets. It's been such a tough stretch for the Mets. And that's, coming off another tough stretch. It's been really, really bad. And they should be thankful that they're still in a playoff spot throughout this entire stretch. They have not lost a playoff spot. They have not fallen out of a playoff spot at any point during this stretch, which is just a miracle, an absolute miracle.
I feel like there's one team in the NL, and then everyone else is mediocre at best for like the last couple weeks.
Yeah, I guess that's fair. It's Milwaukee Brewers and everyone else. But again, the thing that pisses me off is, sure, Milwaukee, everything is going their way at the moment. You could have easily swept that series in Milwaukee. No more than a 3-run, a swing was those games. You lost 3-2, lost 7-4, lost 7-6. One thing goes your way.
Pocket pancakes.
Yeah, apparently. One thing goes your way and you sweep that series. But they get outplayed. They forget how to hit. They can never hit in the clutch because they just haven't done that all year. The starting pitchers don't go more than 5 innings, if 4. And then the bullpen, does not matter who you bring in, they give up a run.
To me, it's the most shocking part, and I've said it before, I'll say it again, is their inability to hit runners in scoring position. You have 3 guys who have incredible historic track records when it comes to hitting with runners in scoring position. In the clutch, in Pete Alonso, Juan Soto, and Francisco Lindor. It doesn't make sense that they are this bad with it. I don't know what it is. Is it a culture thing? Is it just one of those years? I can't.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Because it's beyond the point of blaming the hitting coaches. And we're way past that point of having a discussion should we get rid of the hitting coach, whatever. I'm going to say right now, I don't think they come back next year. But it's too late to do anything like that this year. It's just, and it's also too late to say, hey, it's going to turn around. Carlos Mendoza and Aaron Boone are of the same cloth. I don't know if you've been seeing...
Same coaching tree.
Exactly. So, Aaron Boone's, it's right in front of us, is Carlos Mendoza's, this team is too talented. We have too many good guys, right? This team's too talented to continue playing like they are. And he's right. But we're beyond that. They don't have the benefit of the doubt of it's going to turn around. It's going to turn around. It's going to turn around.
It's one of those.
It is or it isn't.
It's one of those things of, you could say they're too talented to be playing like this. So what are you doing to help them play better? That's my issue with Aaron Boone.
And it comes back to the coaching staff.
That's my thing with Aaron Boone. You could say it's right in front of us. Okay, so what are you doing to make it so that you grab what is right in front of you?
Yeah.
Give us something. Saying we know, or saying we know we haven't hit runners in scoring position. That's something that's going to be a focus of ours these next couple of weeks, or something along those lines.
Right. And it's I like Carlos Mendoza, right? Yeah. This has been a very pro Carlos Mendoza podcast, but the past few weeks he's just losing me a little bit. It's just kind of with the decision making, And then just the comments after the games, it's like, I understand that you kind of need to play nice and, it's PR, but it's like, I'm not asking you to throw a chair like a lot of people are, but it's just like, be accountable. And he has at some points, it's like, it starts with the manager, right? And he's right. But just like, yes, this team is talented, but you have lost the benefit of the doubt of saying it's going to turn around because it hasn't turned around. And this is, going back to runners to scoring position, this has been their issue all year. So you cannot say it's going to turn around where you've had since March to turn it around, and it just hasn't. But with that being said,
Well, do you know why I'm smiling, by the way?
why are you smiling?
It's not because I'm laughing on the Mets downfall or anything like that. It's because I've been dealing with this for 7 fucking years, and now you Mets
Right.
fans realize how
Aaron
bad
Boone.
it is. Now you realize the pain that Aaron Boone has caused Yankee fans with the non-stop, just repetitive answers. And I will say, I think Mendoza is a better manager than Boone. It does not get better. It does not get better in the terms of the comments.
Yeah, and look,
It will drive you up a wall. And
It
you're seeing that
has.
now. You're
I am
seeing
up the
that
wall.
now.
I'm on the wall.
You're over
But-
the wall.
I'm over the wall. Going back to the same coaching tree, it's these two guys, Boone and Mendoza, are so obviously player-driven managers. Like they will stick to their guys, even if it means a detriment to the team.
I would say Mendoza a lot less than Boone, though.
Are you sure about that? Because Brandon Nimmo is still hitting third, and he's striking out like 50% of the time the past 2 weeks.
Alex Verdugo.
Fair enough.
Anthony
But-
Rizzo.
Fair enough. But it's like the consistent of Nimmo hitting third, where he just hasn't been able to hit for the past month and a half.
Paul Goldschmidt
It's-
lead off against righties.
Ryan Helsley coming in back-to-back games after he blew the game the night before to then blow the game again. It's so frustrating because it just seems like such a easy don't do this, and then he does it. It's don't bring in Ryan Helsley after you just blew a game. And who's coming out of the bullpen? Ryan Helsley.
Devin Williams.
Right. But again, Boone has had years to make this his moniker. We're just seeing it now from Mendoza.
But the counterpoint, I'm not even gonna go down that rabbit hole.
You sure? I'm good.
Well, no,
Five?
because I was gonna say
Four?
the counterpoint is that Mendoza is young and he just learned from Boone, so he has time to change those things.
Fair. Very fair.
That's what I said. This is gonna be such a rabbit hole, and I don't want to make this a Boone versus Mendoza discussion.
Yeah.
But
No, that's fair. I'll give you that. The last thing I'll say about Mendoza is just I don't think I'm not, a lot of people are kind of like, is he on the hot seat? I don't think so. He
maybe his
is
seat's a little warm, like a little lukewarm.
right, but how in hell do you expect to build any form of consistency if you're changing managers every 2 years? You gotta ride through pause. You gotta, you gotta have a guy for a few years, right?
Say that again.
No. Back up. So, and again, the last thing I'll say in defense of Mendoza is, what the fuck do you want him to do when every guy out of that bullpen is giving up runs? The Helsley thing is the one thing I'll be like, what the fuck are you doing? But everything else, if it's the right decision or not, just blows up. And that is not his fault. That goes back to the general manager. That goes back to the players.
I will say it is because I agree with you. Outside of Helsley, it is interesting to see that Mendoza's getting a lot more blame than the pitching coach. Because
Which is fair. I do think we are starting to that conversation. I think is fair to have now, while also understanding that Jeremy Hefner has now survived I think 3 different managers and like 3 different GM / president of baseball operations. Like David Stearns did not hire, and usually it's on the manager to like fix up the coaching staff, whatever. But Jeremy Hefner is not David Stearns' guy. Jeremy Hefner's not even Carlos Mendoza's guy. Same thing with Eric Chavez and Jeremy Barnes. Those guys came in from the old regime, and more so on Hefner's part, because I don't want to talk about Chavez. That's kind of been thrown into the ground. Jeremy Hefner is just so widely respected and highly applauded in the industry that I give him the benefit of the doubt. But I do think there's a conversation to be had that these Mets pitchers just do not know where the strike zone is. And I do think that's a reflection on the pitching coach.
And it could also just be a thing of they aren't the right type of guys for him.
That too.
That could just be another thing where they just may not fit his style. So.
No, definitely. And it's just, it's just frustrating, but I'll have more to say kind of like as I go through this, but I do want to talk about some good before we kind of flip flop back and forth. So quickly on the Braves series, Pete Alonso, we'll talk about him for a second. I mean, congratulations, 253 home runs. I understand it's not an impressive number, but it is the franchise record. I was in attendance. I'm so happy I was in. I will get sentimental for about 30 seconds and we'll go back to regular podcasting. 2019 was really the first year I kind of sat down. I'm like, yes, baseball. And has transformed my whole ideology into where we are now. And that being Pete's rookie year and being able to watch a guy, every single one of his home runs I've seen, I've watched this guy since he came up. And for him to now be the all-time home run king for the Mets, it's super cool. And I'm getting goosebumps talking about it. I can't put into words like how much like that means to me as a fan. And I think it's clear how much that means to thousands, millions of other people who are in very similar shoes that I am in right now. It's something that I'm going to carry with me forever because I think it was just such a cool moment. I'm so glad I was there for that. And yeah, again, just congrats to Pete. I hope they work something out because this man cannot not be a Met.
And really quickly, just because I know you said the thing about not impressive number, I saw people comparing Judge on the Yankees all-time list to Pete Alonso on the all-time list. Like, oh, look, I'm sorry, that's little brother behavior on Yankees fans. Like, that's, dude, like, really? Like, that's not, and this isn't even me, like, knocking the Mets. It's not a debate on who had the more impressive franchise, but the Yankees have also been around for 80
Twice
more
as
years.
long.
So, like, to make it a debate is, like, so little brother behavior to me. Like,
Yeah.
You don't have to celebrate Pete Alonso doing that, but
don't take away from it. Because at the end of the day,
moment.
It's a record.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's super cool. Super cool. And look, again, yes, the Yankees have been around, since the dawn of time. And they've had a lot of better players than the Mets. But to have a homegrown guy like Pete Alonso be your all-time home run franchise record is super cool. And that's something that nobody can take away, no matter what you think. I'm looking at you, Chris Russo. But that's Pete. Super cool. Congratulations. They got to work something out or I will trash something. But besides that, super quick on the other Braves games because they did win that game, thankfully. It's the one game they won that series because Peterson had his first implosion in like 2 years. Tasked with a 6-0 lead, Peterson absolutely just completely shit down his leg, and the Braves had a 9 spot against him and Reed Garrett. And here we go. And then they lost. Going back to Ryan Helsley, Game 3 against the Braves in a 1-run game. I'm going to paint the picture. Kodai Senga goes, I think it was 5 2/3 or 5 1/3. Tyler Rogers comes in. He allows a run. It's a tie game. That sucks. Mets get the lead back. Tyler Rogers pitches to 7th. It is drawn up perfectly to be Ryan Helsley, Edwin Diaz, 8-9. This is why you acquired Ryan Helsley. This is why you traded for a quote-unquote Super Bullpen. This is why he was brought into this team. Helsley gives up the lead. Braves go on to win. And Helsley now has an 8. This might not be updated after last night where he had a scoreless inning, but he now has an 8.44 ERA with the Mets, tagged with 3 losses, 3 blown saves. When it comes to Helsley, I do think it's a sequencing thing because the stuff, in fact, is better than when he was on the Cardinals for some reason. So the stuff is not the issue. He's just not. I truly don't think he's just sequencing well enough. He's hanging sliders. He's kind of losing the feel for the strike zone at times. And I texted you this. When you throw, I don't know, 103 miles an hour, and you have a guy, I don't know, 0-2, 1-2, 2-2. Why are you spamming sliders when they are obviously not swinging or taking out of the zone? Throw a fastball. If they hit it, they hit it. But holy crap. So I do think it's just a sequencing thing for Ryan Helsley. And the other part of it is his fastball has just been getting crushed this year for whatever reason that may be. So that also is a part of it. But it's just mind-boggling how bad he's been with the Mets. And it could also just be, and as dumb as it is, it's just like an 8th inning thing because he's the closer. He was the closer for the Cardinals, and he's just not used to pitching the 8th inning, which I think is complete and utter, I don't want to say bullshit, but bullshit, because it's just like, I just don't understand how different it could be. And obviously, look, I'm not a fucking professional baseball player. I can't speak on that, but it's just like, does it really make that much of a difference? It obviously does, but like, holy shit.
I feel like it's the adrenaline argument.
I guess that's fair.
You know
but
what I mean?
still,
With
it's
like,
a 1-run game, and you need to protect it.
I agree. I 100% agree. But there is just something to it, whether it be it not being a safe situation, it not being a thing of you're finishing the game. Yeah. I don't know what it is, but that's just, you hear guys talk about it all the time. It's just one of those unexplainable things about the sport.
Yeah, I know. You get your intro, you get your lights, you get your music. No more. Silence.
No,
Ryan Helsley gets silence.
He has to come out to like Barbie Girl or something. No more Hell's Bells. Get like, trying to think, like you get the Gummy Bear song.
Yes, I agree.
You are now a gummy bear. A yummy tummy gummy bear. Oh yeah.
But on top of Helsley being bad that game, the offense also let fucking Bryce Elder off the hook by letting him go 7 innings. Like, come on.
That's bad.
Fucking Christ. But that was the Braves series. I was down in the dumps after that one because I was also at Game 3, so I watched the Helsley implosion live. It's the first loss all year I saw at home because I was in Pittsburgh, unfortunately.
I'm still
loss
still
all
4
year.
for 4, baby.
I think I'm like 5-1 or like 4-1, something like that. But I was so out after that game. And then the Mariners happened. And they blew another lead. And I was even more out than I was before. Because Carlos Mendoza, like I mentioned before, goes back to Ryan Helsley with a 1-run lead. No. Yes, it was a 1-run lead. And guess what? He blows it again. Who could have seen this coming? Wow. I do quickly want to touch on Sean Manaea. Sean Manaea has not been fantastic since returning. He does have the loose body in his elbow is something that we do need to mention and keep an eye on, because his velocity is down about a tick compared to last year. I kind of across the board for the most part. The underlying stuff isn't bad. It's it's not great either, but it's certainly not bad. This game against the Mariners, his fastball was just getting completely torched, which it has been most of the year. Yeah, a 326 expected weighted on base, 450 expected slug, a 364, 261 expected batting average. He's not great, not bad, but he still has a 427 FIP, a 363 expected FIP. It's not terrible. He's striking out guys at a decent clip, the highest since 2019. 27% of the batters he's striking out, so he has a good K minus walk rate. I do think it's just going to be a little bit of still getting used to it. This was his 6th start. I think he is still building up a little bit, but I also do think that we're probably not going to get like completely dominant Manaea that we kind of saw at the end of last year, because the loose body just might be, it's something he needs to pitch through, and that's probably something that will be addressed in the offseason. But it's just very tough to figure him out because, again, he's striking out guys at an elite rate. He's not walking a ton of guys. He's not really getting hit that hard, but he's not getting chases. He's not really getting whiffs, and that's the issue. But I'm still giving Sean Manaea some time to kind of figure it out. But who I do want to talk about, Nolan McLean got his major league debut on Saturday. Long waited major league debut for Nolan McLean. He goes 5 1/3, allows no runs to a very good Mariners offense, strikes out 8, but he also walked 4 and allowed 2 hits. We kind of got the full Nolan McLean experience. Justin, I don't know if you saw any highlights of his pitches, but this motherfucker knows how to spin the ball.
Yeah, I watched a decent amount of that game.
Holy shit. His curve, the sweeper, even like his sinkers, or like it's the perfect sinker because it tails into a lefty and then goes right back in. And I think it's just perfect. I forgot he got someone of that. Like,
are you gonna even mention the play he made?
You know what? I kind of forgot about it, but now that I have
Holy
to.
shit.
Bases loaded, 1 out, kind of like a weird comebacker to the mound, snagged behind the back.
Just backhands it.
Double play out of the inning. He's an athlete. And as a reminder, this is a guy who got drafted as a two-way player. So he is an athlete. Like the only reason he really kind of gave up hitting was he was striking out, 50% of the time. And obviously his pitches are fucking fantastic and disgusting. But I was very, very, very impressed with Nolan McLean. Again, the spin on his pitches are insane. His curveballs are comparable to only those of Charlie Morton, who has like one of the nastiest curveballs at 50 years old. But you also got the bad, which was the walks, and that lefties are his kryptonite. Very similar to how I was talking about Cam Schlittler. It's a lot of east-west movement. It's the curve, it's the sweeper, it's a cutter, it's a sinker, it's a changeup, it's a fastball. It doesn't play particularly well against lefties. The curve is probably the main. That's like the big one that I'm looking at for McLean. I keep want to call him McLean, but
I do. McLean. I want to do it so much too.
But McLean, the curveball is probably the most important pitch when it comes to lefties because you're not going to throw that sweeper a ton. You're not going to throw the sinker a ton. So it's kind of fastball, curveball, cutting, changeup. But all of his base runners, except for maybe one, were from the left side. So that is where he will be beat. And I expect, he had a 2.57 whip against lefties in that start. 4 walks, and 2 hits. So yeah, all base runners he allowed were lefties. And when the inevitable bad start happens, because it will happen, he's not going to be the savior. I guarantee you it's going to be because he physically cannot get a lefty out. But I don't want to rag on him too much because he was super impressive. Super, super impressive. That cannot be understated.
And
Just
I will say too, the thing that you mentioned about can't get lefties out and just like the walks not having the control, you just described 95% of young right-handed pitchers coming up. So it's also a thing of
that's
like,
also
yeah,
fair.
those are the two issues he has. It's not like those are just him and oh my god, these are glaring red flags. No, this is something that all young pitchers deal with, and these are the things that he just will have to overcome to take that next step. But
For sure.
that's
But
what. That's why if you saw me like smirk a little bit when you said that, I was
Yeah.
like, yeah, that sounds like
That's everybody.
95% of young pitchers.
Very fair. But yeah, he was fantastic. I don't really have much else to say about him. The one thing I will say is I do have a little bit of a bone to pick with Mr. David Stearns. Now, you can watch back to games in June and July, to, episodes in June and July. I was not call up the kids like rah rah rah, let's get them up here. And I agreed for the most part what David Stearns was doing, and that is he doesn't want to shove a kid into kind of like the limelight in the sense of out of desperation, I guess if you want to say it. Like when he's ready, and he'll come up. You will have a very hard time getting me to agree that Nolan McLean was fully ready to come up and that this was not a desperation move. I absolutely believe this was out of desperation. And that's because Frankie Montas fucking sucks. So I am a little annoyed with that because it seemed like for so long David Stearns was trying to not let that happen and trying to give, any young pitcher he calls up, give him, his own kind of timeline, let him kind of, develop and kind of tell you that he's ready. And for the most part, yes, he was doing good in AAA, but the lefties were the problem and will continue to be. So I am just a little annoyed that you kind of, this entire time, it's kind of like you can't call him up because it's kind of like desperation. But now that you did, it's absolutely a desperation move. This was absolutely because you had nobody else to fucking pitch. Because Frankie Montas, who also is now a huge miss by David Stearns, giving him $17 million. Because your signing that came in what? December? Before anybody signed? Has blown up in your face. So I am a little annoyed in that aspect. Because it feels like for so long he was trying to avoid doing what he just did and call up a young pitcher out of desperation. But he's here now, so it is what it is. I do think a lot of the issues the Mets had in June and July goes back to the offense. And I will continue to say it. I will continue to beat that drum. The offense has been this team's biggest issue year-round. But he's here. Hopefully he can help the Mets make a push. So, yeah. Now we'll talk about the Little League Classic. Clay Holmes, 5 innings.
Let me just say before we get into the actual game itself, because there's something that
Go ahead.
I did want to mention. I'm sure you heard what Rob Manfred said So he said that if they expanded, they probably would look into geographical relocation of divisions. What are your thoughts on that?
That makes the most sense. Probably if they do, if they expand where they expand, that does make the most sense. I'm very curious on what that would look like.
Mm-hmm.
But, it's kind of like odd because, it's like for it's I guess it goes for both AL East and NL East. It's like the Braves are kind of just like a little too far. and then the Miami Marlins are just a little too far. Same thing with the Rays, and then it's like Baltimore is just like a smidge too far, or
Well, a lot of
Blue
people are kind
Jays,
of throwing around the Jim Bowden,
Bowden, I think.
Bowden's proposed realignment, where they would add 2 realignments. There'd be 4 teams in 8 divisions, and the Yankees and Mets get the juggernaut of a division
Yeah,
of
well,
Yankees,
yeah,
Mets, Phillies, Red Sox. Maybe the most toxic division in the history of
ever,
sports.
ever,
Um,
ever.
but then you also have
Professional sports,
dude, the
ever.
one division, the Pacific Coast division of Rockies, Athletics, Mariners, Giants.
See, that's the issue, I think, and I feel like you can't refigure it based off of this, but
Yeah, 'cause teams are gonna get better,
some
teams are gonna get worse.
exactly, but like Rockies Athletics against Mariners and Giants, like come on, like those are just that's such a lopsided division, and then you have
You
this
want to hear
East division.
lopsided division?
Mhm.
Dodgers, Padres, Diamondbacks, Angels.
Yeah,
Dude,
it's just
you
stuff like
think
that
that
where it's
they're
just
getting
like
asked to sell right now? Just wait until if they're in that division.
yeah, so it's definitely interesting, and it's gonna happen. American League, National League is not gonna be a thing for much longer in the grand scheme of things, or the grand scope. So it's definitely interesting, and it's probably the way it's gonna go. I'm not sure if that exact restructure is gonna happen.
Oh my god, I didn't even see this one. Orioles, Pirates, Nationals, and then the expansion team. If that expansion team has a cheap owner, that may be the most poverty, cheap ass division in the history of sports.
Yeah.
But anyways, I just thought I wanted to talk about it in the intro. I just forgot about it, so I figured this was the perfect time to bring it up.
But yeah, it's gonna be interesting. We'll see. But going to the actual game, um, Clay Holmes had a good game. 5 innings, 1 run. The 1 run maybe shouldn't have been scored if you kind of want to get on Lindor for that, yada yada. Offense had a hell of a game against a really good pitcher in George Kirby. Mark Vientos had a really good game. Please let
Juice
that
balls,
happen.
doesn't matter.
Shut up. And overall, Little League Classics is cool. I think it's such a cool event. Kind of talked about it already, but I do want to get a little psychological, philosophical, however you want to call it. And I do think this event could be a very good thing for the Mets. Because when you look at it, it's, Little League World Series. A bunch of 12-year-olds, maybe 15. That's probably a little old, but still. Kind of coming around for baseball, and you're meeting all the players, and you see it all their faces, and just like, it might just be a good kind of perspective change for the Mets. Kind of like, you're playing a kid's game for millions of dollars, and these kids have the same love for the game that you do. I just think it might be like a good, just not wake up call, but kind of like, relax, like play loose. This is a kid's game. Have fun. Don't press, which they've been doing like all year. Like, do you get what I'm trying to say? It's kind of like, I just feel like it could be a very good, again, just like kind of put things in perspective on where you are, what you're doing. It's just kind of like, again, bring the team together, play loose, and, make a push.
I the fuck did I just say?
I,
It's one of those things of that will either be the narrative if the Mets turn it around, or no one will ever mention it if the Mets
yes,
play the way
absolutely.
they've been playing.
Absolutely. I agree. Because there's less than 40 games left. It's put up or shut up time. I do not think they are the team they were at the beginning of the year. I also do not think they are as bad as they've been playing. This is go time. Like, this is not really, you don't have any more margin for error. You're still in a playoff spot, like I mentioned, for somehow. But it does still feel like the vibes are still kind of down in the dumps a little.
And one thing, I should have had this in for the Yankees, but I completely forgot about it. The Mets have, let's just take 4 teams. The Mets, Cubs, Padres, Phillies, make it 5, and the Reds. The Reds are a game and a half behind the Mets. They have the 3rd hardest strength of schedule. The Mets have the 13th hardest. Phillies have the 14th hardest. The Cubs have the 28th hardest, meaning they have the 3rd easiest. And then the Padres have the 29th hardest, aka the 2nd easiest.
Mickey Mouse schedule.
So it seems like the Cubs and Padres are kind of locked in for those 2 spots. Just with how, unless something drastic happens, they seem kind of locked in. Seems like the Reds, with how tough a schedule, it's going to be an uphill battle for them. And then the Mets and Phillies call it a wash. Because I think it's...
Right.
The Mets have a 507 strength of schedule left. The Phillies have a 506. So it's a wash.
Right.
You both play 38 games left.
Yeah.
Do you think that they... Because do you guys play each other again? Yes, you play 7 more games.
7, yeah, I was just going to say. 7 more games against the Phillies.
Do you know what the season series is at?
I believe the Mets are up, I think, 3-2.
I'm looking that up right now.
Or not 3-2. No, 4-2, I think, if I'm not wrong. Because they swept the Phillies in Citi Field, and then they won 1 game in a 3-game set.
You're correct, 4-2.
Yeah, 4-2. So, yeah, 7 games is a lot. And the Mets are 5 games behind the Phillies. So as bad as they've been playing, as much as I've said and I've lied to myself that I'm like out on them, this division is not over until those 7 games are played.
Yeah.
It's for some, miracle that they're still in striking distance. That division will be won during those 7 games.
And even then, those games are pretty soon.
Yes.
Especially the games at Citi Field, like, they're pretty soon.
Within the next 3 weeks.
The last game is September 10th.
Right. And next week you play the Phillies at Citi Field. I'll probably try to go to one of those games if I'm being honest. But yeah, so that's where the division's going to be won, in my opinion. And if you want to turn around...
Not even in your opinion. It's just factual.
I guess that's fair. If you want to turn around, this is as good of a time to do it. Because now you play the Nationals. I guess a very quick looking ahead. Nationals in Atlanta this week. All away. You gotta play good in Atlanta. That's the biggest thing. You gotta find a way, because for some reason they can't play in Atlanta. You got to find a way to play good there. You got to take care of business against the Nationals. And then, it's, pedal to the metal. It's time. So, yeah, I mean, I really don't have a lot to say. It was a good 2 games against the Mariners. It is a very good Mariners team. And you should be proud of being able to take 2 games from them. But they've still just played so god-awfully for the past 2 months that it's hard, because this team has not shown you a lot to invoke any form of confidence besides these last 2 games. These last 2 games have been the best games they've played in months. Months. And even then, it's a little wishy-washy at times. So I quickly want to just go over this, like, the bullpen since the trade deadline, because that was like the big upgrade, and that's what should have been basically your strength at this point. Since the trade deadline, the Mets bullpen is 20th in ERA, 16th in FIP, so kind of middle of the pack, 4th in innings pitched, 8 losses, which is the most in major leagues, and 24th in strikeout percentage. Funny enough, they're a top 10 offense in that span as well. So when it comes down to it, the starting rotation maybe has turned a page. Even in the game they got lost against the Braves, Kodai Senga did go, 5 1/3, 5 2/3. I forget whatever it was. Shamanaya got roughed up on Saturday, but then you got a really good outing from McLean. You got a really good outing. Was only 5 innings. The starting rotation needs to step up. Somebody other than David Peterson needs to pitch 6 innings for once. And then the bullpen just needs to figure it out. Ryan Helsley needs to figure it out because after that, everyone's been pretty decent for the most part. Edwin Diaz has been good. Gregory Soto has been really good. Tyler Rogers has been good. But besides that, everyone's just kind of So, with that being said, like you got 5 weeks of baseball left, give or take. And these 5 weeks will determine, obviously, if you make the playoffs or not. And even if they make the wild card, I will be disappointed. This team should not be where they are right now. This team was not built to be where they are right now. For once in this season, the offense needs to finally just come together and push through. The starting rotation needs to come together and push through. The bullpen needs to do their job. That is what they were brought in to do. That's why David Stearns traded for Tyler Rogers, Ryan Helsley, Gregory Soto. Again, it's put up or shut up time. If you're going to turn your season around, that's, funny saying that they're 8 games over 500. But if you're going to turn it back to where you want it to be, it has to start now. Because even if the season ends tomorrow and they're in wild card 3, I don't think they're making out of that wild card, given what they've played like the past 2 months. Use this Mariners series as a building block and just push to the end. Again, 5 weeks. You just need 5 weeks of good baseball. They need to go 38 games, you said. I don't know. Call it. What did you say? It was you said 22 and 16 for the Yankees, something like that. I think that's fair to say for the Mets as well. Something around that, 20 and 10 up. You got it. That's just kind of where you are. And those 7 games against the Phillies, you got to win 5, I think, if you want the division.
Because you make up 3 games there.
Right. I think that's fair, right?
Yeah.
You need to win 5. 4, I think you're happy with. But if you want the division...
Even then, you're only making up 1 game.
Exactly. Gotta win 5. But that's next week. Take care of business this week. The Nationals, the Braves. Yeah. I mean, that's my war cry. Let's go. It's time. Enough of this bullshit. I'm done watching bad baseball. Give me good baseball. Give me what you gave the past 2 days. I want to see that. And give me good news on Francisco Alvarez. So that's really all I had. Justin,
And
if you had
give
any
me
closing
less
thoughts,
unethical home runs from Cal Riley.
that we can agree on. So with that being said, that was a lot of mumbo jumbo that I hope made sense. And I hope resonated with some Mets fans who are listening. This team's not dead. Somehow. But they need to start showing life. Which they did the past 2 days. So continue that. And just play good. That's all I ask. And we'll see what happens. So with that being said, thank you guys for listening. Thank you guys for watching. If you're watching on YouTube, remember to subscribe, leave us a comment, leave us a like. We truly do appreciate it. Same with the listeners. If you're on Spotify, Apple Podcast, rating, review, let us know that you're enjoying the show. We appreciate that very much. Follow all of our social media accounts at Triboro Podcast, Instagram, TikTok, Twitter. We post lineups, we post final scores every single day. So if you want your daily dose of New York baseball, go follow us there. And once again, thank you guys for listening and watching. Hopefully these two teams play some good baseball down the stretch, and we got some October baseball to watch and root for. So thank you guys again, and we'll see you next week.